Hello, dear children. Today, let us do the second chapter of geography. The name of the topic is globe. So, in your second chapter, you can see a globe is there. It is the model of the earth. So, here in this globe topic, the globe topic, we are going to learn about latitudes and longitudes. Children, in the previous chapter, that is in first chapter, you have read that our planet Earth is not a sphere. In the first chapter, you got that our planet Earth is not a sphere. It is not totally round. It is slightly flattened at the north and the south poles and bulge in the middle. So, both the poles, North Pole and the South Pole of the globe, they are slightly flattened and bulge in the middle. Can you imagine how it looks? You may look at a globe carefully in your classroom to get an idea. Children, as and when you come in the school, this globe, I'll show you. I will bring in your classroom and I will show you. Globe is a true model miniature form of the earth. It is the true model of the earth made by man, this globe, to show the shape of the earth and latitudes, longitudes. So see the figure which is given in this page, figure 2.1. Globe. Globes may be of varying size and type, big ones which cannot be carried easily, small pocket globes, and globe-like balloons. So globes, it may be of different sizes and type. It may be big ones which cannot be carried easily. We have small pocket globes also and globe-like balloons also, which can be inflated and are handy and carried with ease. So globes which we can carry and inflate it by putting air, and it can be handy and carried with us easily. The globe is not fixed. It is not fixed. It can be rotated the same way as a top spin or a potter's wheel rotated. As a top, which you might seen, as it will spin means wheels around quickly, or a potter's wheel is rotated when he make any pot. In the same way, at that like that speed, it used to rotate. On the globe, countries, continents, and oceans are shown in their correct size. So, on the globe, different countries, continents, and oceans, these are shown in their correct size. It is difficult to describe the location of a point on a sphere like the Earth. So, children, it is difficult in order to describe the location of a point on a sphere like that. Sphere means surface of a ball like that. There's shapes on that to locate a point on a sphere is not easy thing. Now the question arises as to how to locate a place on it. Here question arises how to locate a place on the globe. We need certain points of reference and lines to find out the location of places. So we need here different points, certain points of reference and different lines to find out the location of places. You will notice that a needle is fixed through the globe in a tilted manner, which is called its axis. Axis is an invisible line on which Earth rotates or spins. 2 points on the globe through which the needle passes are two poles. They are North Pole and the South Pole. Both the poles you will see, they are two needles. So through this needle, we find here 2 points on the globe through which the needle passes are two poles, North Pole and South Pole. The upper pole is called North Pole and the lower pole of the globe is known as South Pole. The globe can move around this needle from west to east, just as the Earth moves. So the globe it can move around in anti-clockwise, means against the clockwise, as the hands of clock it is moving, but here the globe can move or the Earth move opposite direction of the clock, that is west to east, just as the Earth moves. But remember, there is a major difference. The real Earth has no such needle. Actually, there is no needle. Real Earth do not have any needle. It moves around its axis. Axis I already told you. An invisible line on which Earth rotates or spins. Which is an imaginary line. That is an imaginary, means thinkable line. Actually, there is no such lines like that. There is no such needle. Another imaginary line running on the globe divides it into two equal parts. Another imaginary line, it runs on the globe, it divides the Earth into two equal parts. Just at the center, it runs. This line is known as the equator. The line which runs, that means at the center of the globe, it is known as equator. Equator divides the Earth into two hemispheres, boys. Upper one is called northern hemisphere and lower part is known as southern hemisphere. The northern half of the Earth is known as the northern hemisphere and the southern half is known as the southern hemisphere. As I told you, the northern side is equator divide the Earth into two equal halves. The northern part is known as, means upper part is known as northern hemisphere and the lower part is known as southern hemisphere. They are both equal halves, means it has divided into two equal parts. Sorry. Therefore, the equator is an imaginary circular line. These are imaginary line, boys. Circular line, and is a very important reference point to locate places on the earth. And that is why the equator is an imaginary circular line. It forms a circle and is a very important reference point. It is very important to locate places on the earth. All parallel circles from the equator up to the poles are called parallels of latitudes. I think you might learn parallel line, straight line, curved line in your mathematics. If any two line goes straightly without intersecting each other, that is called parallel line. So all parallel circles, these parallel circles, none of the circle meeting one with other, that is called parallel circles. All parallel circles from the equator up to the poles are called parallels of latitudes. Here, see in page number 11, the first diagram, these parallel circles, it runs, none of the circle, they meet with each other. They are known as parallels of latitudes. Latitudes are measured in degrees. What is this latitudes? They are measured in degrees. You see in the figure, 20 degree north, 40 degree north, 60 degree north, 80 degree north, like that. Then if it comes down of the equator, again it will comes in the degree as 20 degrees south, 40 degrees south, 60 degrees south, so on. The equator represents the 0 degree latitude. Boys, equator, remember, it represents the 0 degree latitude. Since the distance from the equator to either of the poles is 1/4 of a circle round the earth, it will measure 1/4 of 360 degrees, that is 90 degree. Thus, 90 degrees north latitude marks the North Pole and 90 degrees south latitude marks the South Pole. See, as it is clear that how it measure this 360 degrees, then we find here, thus 90 degrees north latitude marks the North Pole and 90 degrees south latitude marks the South Pole. As such, all parallels north of the equator are called north latitudes. In this way, all parallels which are located on the north of the equator, they are called north latitudes. By the way, similarly means by the way, all parallels south of the equator are called south latitudes. The value of each latitude is therefore followed by either the word north or south. Here it is clear that either the word north or south, it is followed. So N means north and S means south. Generally, this is indicated by the letter N or S. For example, both Chandrapur in Maharashtra, India, and Belo Horizonte in Brazil, South America, are located on parallels of about 20-degree latitude. But the former is 20-degree north of the equator and the latter is 20 degrees south. So one is that 20 degrees south of it. We therefore say that Chandrapur is situated at 20 degree north, and in this way we can say Chandrapur it is located or it is situated at 20 degree north latitude, and Belo Horizonte is situated at 20 degrees south latitude. We see in figure 2.2 that as we move away from the equator, the size of the parallels of latitude decreases. So, in the figure 2.2, see boys, from that figure, we find what? That as we move away from the equator, say whether it is towards the North Pole or the South Pole, we find the size of the parallels of latitude decreases. Size, it becomes smaller and smaller. Now let us see the next part of the chapter, that is important parallels of latitudes. Boys, towards the right side of your book, in page number 11, the second diagram, see there, equator, it divides the earth into two hemispheres with drawn at the center. So either Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, North Pole, frigate zone, North Pole, then South Temperate Zone, Arctic Circle, frigate zone, South Pole. This thing has mentioned. You have to know it, how to draw it, how to level this. So important parallels of latitude, let us see. Besides the equator 0 degree, the North Pole 90 degree north and the South Pole 90 degrees south, there are four important parallels of latitudes. So apart from this equator, either the North Pole 90 degree north and the South Pole 90 degrees south, there are four important parallels of latitudes are there. Roman 1, Tropic of Cancer, that is 23.5 degree north in the northern hemisphere. Tropic of Capricorn, 23.5 degrees south in the southern hemisphere. Third one, Arctic Circle at 66.5 degree north of the equator. Antarctic Circle at 66.5 degree south of the equator. So these are the important latitudes and heat zones which is given in this figure. Okay, let us turn over the page that is page number 12. Heat zones of the earth. See, all parts of the earth, hotness, it is not same. Now let us see heat zones. The midday sun is exactly overhead at least once a year on all latitudes. In between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. So midday sun, it is exactly overhead. The time when that means the sun is overhead, rays of the sun, it falls on us vertically at least once a year on all latitudes in between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. This area therefore receives the maximum heat and is called the torrid zone. What is torrid zone? See here. The area you see when it receives the maximum heat, it is called the torrid zone. The midday sun never shines overhead on any latitude beyond the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. The angle of the sun's rays goes on decreasing towards the poles. See, angle of rays of the sun, it goes on decreasing as we proceed towards North Pole or the South Pole. As such, the areas bounded by the Tropic of Cancer and the Arctic Circle in the northern hemisphere and the Tropic of Capricorn and the Antarctic Circle in the southern hemisphere have moderate temperatures. So, in such way, or in this way, the areas bounded by the Tropic of Cancer and the Arctic Circle in the northern hemisphere and the Tropic of Capricorn and the Antarctic Circle in the southern hemisphere have moderate temperature, means neither very hot nor very cold. These are therefore called temperate zones. That is why these are called temperate zones. So you must know it. What are torrid zone? What are temperate zones? This definition you have to learn, boys. Areas lying between the Arctic Circle and the North Pole in the northern hemisphere and the Antarctic Circle and the South Pole in the southern hemisphere are very cold. So these are the regions. Okay, Arctic Circle and the North Pole in the northern hemisphere. On the other hand, the Antarctic Circle and uh, the South Pole in the southern hemisphere, they are very cold. Why for they are very cold? Do you know? Because it is because here the sun does not rise much above the horizon. Here, see sunrise. What we find here, uh, does not see rise much above the horizon. Horizon means the line at which the earth's surface and the sky appear to meet. That is called horizon. Therefore, its rays are always slanting and provide less heat. Slanting fashion, it need to cover long distance, not in a vertical position, as it is very far, so to say, in early morning in the morning when sun rises, and afternoon at the time of sunset, we are getting the rays of the sun in slanting fashion. But at noontime, the sun is over our head and we are getting vertical rays of the sun. These are therefore called frigid zones. Very cold. Frigid means very cold, frigid zones. That's why it doesn't provide more heat. The slanting fashion of the rays of sun, it provides us less heat. That is why these are called frigid zones or very cold zones or very cold zones. What are longitudes? So far we have discussed, boys, about latitudes. So regarding this longitude, we shall discuss in the next part of the chapter. For today, let us stop here. Thank you all.